Hey, Chris, good morning. It's Doug Field.
Doug, how are you?
I'm doing great, Chris. Sorry about the little confusion on the call-in. Hey, good to have you on the program. And to our audience, please welcome Chris Covill, who's the Exchange Product Leader and partner at Mercer Marketplace. He's really one of the chief navigators of creating this solution. And as Brent said, he will be part of our General Session Exchange panel at Forum East next week. Chris, tell our audience a little bit about what you're doing with Mercer Marketplace and the uniqueness of your solution.
Well, thank you, Doug. We're, in large measure, our marketplace is really built around providing a total benefits exchange. So it's at the forefront and heart of it is a medical exchange. Our belief is that the need in the marketplace, being told to us by our clients and our prospects, is really a full benefits exchange that would cover all elements of a employee's needs and their ability to build their own protection portfolio beyond just medical.
Mm-hmm. Now, Chris, will that move into the retirement plan space as well eventually?
No, at this moment we're really focused, and we think about products in four categories: medical, what we think of as supplemental or gap medical as the second category. The third category being traditional benefits like disability, life, vision, and dental. And then that fourth bucket, if you will, of products that we're focused on are really those ancillary voluntary benefits that are manufactured to take advantage of the group purchasing power of the employer, things like home and auto, group legal, ID theft, pet insurance, things of that nature.
Seems to make a lot of sense. You've got them there, provide them the total portfolio for they to make the selection from. And
you bet.
How about wellness and some of the decision support tools within the marketplace?
Wellness obviously is an important part of any employer solution, and wellness will be a part of and will be included in our medical offering. And we suspect, over time, wellness will also be a key component to how an employer calculates. To the extent that they move over to a defined contribution strategy, how they calculate and assess the defined contribution that an employer will make.
Chris, I appreciate that. You also are bringing a model to the marketplace that is a little bit different too, because you're a multi-source marketplace, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about that and the differences to your marketplace, to a single-source marketplace?
Yeah, I think, it's probably the classic discussion around, the value of working with one carrier versus working with multiple carriers, and the value of a singular monolithic provider versus, multiple provider. Our belief is that no one insurance company is the best manufacturer of all products, and therefore, there's value in offering, I think, a broad choice to the employer and ultimately the employee. And too much choice could be paralyzing. So there is a healthy balance. But our belief is that there is value for the employer to consider a variety of different carriers, and then ultimately the employee to be able to select best of class based upon the various benefit choices that are out there.
Now, when the exchanges are executed come this fall, engagement's going to be a big challenge and opportunity. Talk to us a little bit about, how you're going to help your clients with their engagement strategy.
Yeah, it's a really, really good question, and I think one that we think about all the time. If you think about, frankly, many people in our space, and specifically consultants and brokers, our experience and expertise has always been focused on or for the most part, it's been focused at the employer level. And now, frankly, that the end consumer is much more important relative to making the right choices. And so engaging the employee really is about understanding what the employee's needs are. And, we think about employees in many ways in three categories. One is sort of the do-it-yourselfer, and we think to engage those folks, you need to have really good technology. You have to have great decision support tools that help them build their portfolio. The other two constituencies we think about are the do-it-with-me folks, the folks that, have some knowledge of how to build their own protection portfolio, but really want to validate that through a third party. And then the third group would be the, do-it-for-me folks, the folks that are completely paralyzed when it comes to, building their benefits portfolio. And we think it's important to have a pretty intimate understanding of those folks, and as you may know, we have 25-plus years of experience working directly with consumers, so we have that, we think. And then, we're going to be able to deliver that through a very robust call center. And we think that having a call center that can help that last two constituencies really make the right choices and empower them to be, thoughtful around the consideration of all their benefits will really, I think, distinguish and provide an avenue for employees to truly get engaged in their benefits enrollment process.
Chris, with the with the conversations you're having with the employers out there, what's the appetite right now for the exchange? Are you seeing some early adopters? Is there a little bit of a wait and see approach? What's the discussion?
Yeah, really good question. I would tell you that the interest level in understanding how a private exchange works, how it can benefit the employer and how it can benefit their employees is unprecedented. And we are, I wouldn't call ourselves overwhelmed because that would be, too strong a word, but we're certainly very enthused by just the nature of the level of interest. The employers that will actually adopt a plan for 2014 and fall enrollments, we think are is obviously a subset of the people that have shown interest right now. What we're seeing is that it is oftentimes employers that are probably in more of a low margin, maybe even a low a low salary level and income population. But, that being said, it's not exclusively that group, and based on the studies that we've seen, we believe over the next 3 to 5 years there will really be no bias around the segment of the market or the sectors of the market that will gravitate to the exchange. But I think it's fair to say that, the early adopters will be likely those that, economically feel like this is the best solution for them now, and they're willing to be, sort of the early adopters of a solution.
Chris, I was talking on our earlier segment about, and I've been in this market longer than I'd like to lay claim to, as founder of Employee Benefit News back in 1989. I just dated myself. But
yeah, you're right out of high school.
Yeah, really. Yeah. But, we were there at the beginning of 401k evolution, and, you look at and see where defined contribution and retirement plans have come, and although there's some different intricacies with healthcare, it just, to me, makes perfect sense that employers understand how defined contribution has been successful on the retirement plan side. So I think there would be a sincere openness to move that direction on healthcare if the solutions are there to help them implement it.
I think it's a great point. I too was around, and I hate to say this, but it was earlier than you in the retiree space many years ago, and was really there as the transition from defined benefit to defined contribution. And I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned, but maybe in its broadest sense, the biggest lesson is transparency. Yeah. And I think one of the things that was undervalued at the time of the retirement revolution that we're not undervaluing, frankly, as we look at the benefits revolution, and that is that employees appreciate that full transparency, and they frankly have a better perception of their benefits, and they have a better perception of their employer as a result of a better perception of their benefits, when they have a full transparency around what it is their employer is contributing and what it is that they are contributing as a percentage of the total benefits. And I think there's great value and lessons to be learned how well that was received years ago when the retirement community moved that way.
Well said. Chris, we got about a minute to go, and I want to give you a chance to kind of tie it up and give our audience some clear takeaways. And I want to remind our audience that those of you attending Forum East, you can hear Chris in our general session, plus meet Chris and the rest of his team from Mercer Marketplace at the event. So kind of wrap it up for us, if you would, Chris. Give our audience some takeaways.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I think, it's always easy to talk about how great, your solution is relative to others in the marketplace. But I think the most important thing in evaluating the private exchange market is really understanding what the value proposition is to the various constituencies. In the case of the group we're talking to and about today, what is the value to the employer? And I think that value has to be more than just an economic value. And what is the value to the employee? And again, I think it needs to be more than just an economic value. I think it has to be an overall reduction in cost, but an increased perception and value proposition between the employer and the employee. And I think if for those of you that are out there thinking about moving to that, to a private exchange model, I would say really focus on that value proposition, and I think it it really has to be strong, and everybody's got to be a winner. If it's a pure cost shift, I don't think that's a recipe for long-term success of any exchange model. So I'd leave it at that.
I think I agree with you, Chris. And hey, listen, I appreciate it, and we'll see you next week at Forum East.
I look forward to it.
Have a great weekend. And to our audience, stay tuned. We'll be back with the next segment of Healthcare Consumerism Radio.
Hi, this is Brent Macy, Managing Director for the Institute for Healthcare Consumerism. If you're a solution provider